is get last year's combine tape, and we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be great if we did that.
Okay, there's the bear, and what does the bear come off of? What is the base front that Buddy Ryan took to create the bear? It's a 4-3. It's just kick the 4-3 over. If you kick these guys back this way, walk him off, put him out here, put him in the middle, walk him back, you're back in the 40 front again.
So we're saying like this is a 4-3 just reduction?
Big time.
Okay.
It's a 4-3 under. But remember personnel. Do you remember who that was in the Bear defense? And you really can't run it very well unless you have him. That's Richard Dent. I mean, he's 6'7", he's 295 pounds, and he's a sprinter. And then the linebackers, this is Singletary, but I need you to diagram for me a strong side run play. And this is the first of 90, okay?
Okay.
And I'm not going to give them to you today. I'm going to ask you about 6 or 7 of them. But the whole idea is this has to be spontaneous. Okay, so give me a good strong side run against that.
Okay. Well, we know this guy's locked up in man here,
okay,
so we can work a combination, either these two back to here, depending on the angles. We want to go down, down, down here, pull the guard around. You know, he's going to block first color, but he's coming out likely for the Sam
what
in
do you
this
do with
case.
the fullback?
Fullback's leading up through the hole, and we're going to run power.
Thank you. Okay. If you said, what's the most common way people attack the Bear front, that was it.
Okay.
They did one of two things. They either ran that power with the offside guard, an O call. I don't know if you do this in your office, but there's so much of it is G is onside guard, O is offside guard. Okay. If it was go, this old Nebraska, the old Nebraska power was a go power. Both guards pulled. One kicked out, one turned up. It's very similar to counter blocking.
Okay.
But in this case, you just attacked it, kind of hugged the B gap. But since we know it's man-to-man, the second that tight end blocks down, where do we move the strong?
We moved him inside.
We moved him inside for a better angle. Okay.
For this also, I mean, if it was a 3rd and 3, something like that, if we had a running play, I mean, oftentimes we just mirror our inside zone. So let's say we were in like solo,
yep,
or ace, whatever people call it.
Well, you just did something there. You just did something by going ace.
Well, we stretched him out.
You did something to the Bear front that a lot of times people would attack this by going ace or wing. Okay? Because, and let me state it this way. If the fullback was here, and we didn't have this, okay? If the fullback is here, we used to call this queen. He's offset away from the tight end.
Yeah.
Okay? But the strong safety's man responsibility is the tight end. Okay? I now shift him up here. What does that do to him?
He needs to move out.
He needs to widen. Will now has that gap, and all of a sudden, if I go back, 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 and pull this guard, I now have a numbers advantage. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay. So I want you to think, we'll take the power. That's one excellent choice. The other one is, by the width of this, outside zone.
That's what I was going to say. Is
okay.
we would line up in this, and we'd have 2 zone plays called. So I'd
pick
94 zone auto the G. In this case, with a Bear front, we would say, hey, let's run right at the man player.
Yeah.
And we'd string this thing out.
So that's another great way to answer the question. Is I'm either going to formation change. I'm going to pull a guard and run the power in B gap extended, or I'm going to get in ace and pick. I'm going to pick the side where I have the man advantage.
Right.
Okay. That's good.
Okay.
All right.
So I mean, the answers to that, what are our strong side running plays? If they say no, you can't move out of your green I formation here, we're going to say power is one. What would be another that I could go to?
If you couldn't move and you were in the I formation, I would say run weak side stretch. And I'll tell you why. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers for 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders. the thing that I would say is because of this front, they would try and spill that back to the Mike because he's covered by everybody.
Okay.
So I really like weak side stretch.
So we'd be reaching here. Here we're trying to, pretty much all reach blocks.
And then
here.
the fullback's block is what we used to call find it. He's going to find it here. If this guy goes, nope, you're not, I'm going to slam this down. He's outside.
Now he's sealing
He
here.
picks up well.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing we have to worry about is maybe a run through on the backside of Mike.
And you know what? If we start getting a run through on the back with Mike, we run naked that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could say, I'd like you to have enough ammunition in the gun to say, can I have the pen one more time? And what do you do if Mike is making the play on that from the backside? So then we run naked.
Right.
Okay?
Hey, Mark, do you have a pen?
Do you have? I forgot to tell you guys to bring your notebook.
You know what?
You're gonna have. You got a handout for everything here. So.
This is excellent, though, Coach. This is good.
Well, this is. I apologize for starting off with throwing. I was telling Andrew. For the last 10 years, when we get here, people want to go outside and throw. So I'm at the combine. I'm going to throw at the combine training. Let's do that. And quite honestly, for some of them, getting them in the room was like pulling teeth. You know why? They didn't have any answers. Right. And so I'm eating this up. This is the favorite thing to do, because like Mark said, when you guys go there, I just hope they're ready for you, because our job is you're going to have an answer for every question they ask you, and not just a stock answer. Right. I'd like you to be able to say, well, I could do that against the bear. I can run this scheme and block it. But you know what? If we are a good strong side run team, I know that's where the slant will go if they do slant. Right. Here's my answer. Here's our weak side run, same way. If you're not going to let me go to ace with that fullback, this is how we're getting backside. Right. And all we want is even numbers. Right. And the whole bear front, the idea was you can't pull guards against it. Well, everybody did. All they did is down, 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 pull. Right. If they say, well, is the bear still alive and living in the NFL? Well, yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. And like Mike Carney told me last night, he said you can see a lot more of it, or forms of it, than you might imagine, because you didn't see it a whole bunch in college. It is really a personnel defense. You better have, well, the Jets run it, because you have Revis and Cromartie. Right. If the, I guess the other thing for the bear defensive guys, we always worry about moving the ball and scoring points, getting first downs, and how do we beat this defense. I've learned more in my lifetime as a coach by going to the defensive meetings. Mm-hmm. And you know what I find? They're scared to death of what we're doing because of space and bad matchups. Mm-hmm. And so that was question number one from Mike. Okay. I'm going to give you two.
So, I'm sorry, this question, like who got that?
Me. These are 60 of, well, I have 90 of them.
Okay.
So last year I got about 30.
I mean,
these are the real deals. I just made a notebook of them. Huh. I told you I had all of these, but I wanted to get them from a little different perspective, because John Pease is going to tell me, he's a defensive line coach. So he has questions for his guys. He was in charge of the esoteric questions, which I have a few here. What's your favorite movie of all time? I go, yeah, that's great, John. You'll learn a lot about that. But these questions were asked of quarterbacks. Okay. There's a dozen out of the 90 that I'd say your knowledge of defense is going to be really important, because you're going to have to say, when they draw this up, who is that under tackle? Who is that guy? Is that Warren Sapp? I mean, is that Ndamukong Suh? Right. Because I can draw you something that's going to look really beautiful, but I need to know who that guy is. Right. Do we match up with him? Who is that T right
Yes.
There? Yeah.
Is that how they're playing, Sue, in an under tackle?
Every once in a while. It's very much like, see, they have Fairley also. Right. And Fairley, if they wanted to, with those two kids, they could play a lot of two-gap technique, because they're just beasts. But what they're doing them is playing shades, so they draw doubles. Right. He's got to double team the shade guy most of the time. So
trying to think how we used him at Nebraska, because he was a terror the year.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to practice against that guy. That's this is a question you have already heard. We're in 11 personnel, and we get four in the A.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want you to block that, and then I'm going to give you an answer I got last night from Mike Carney that was very interesting. So go ahead and put the defensive end inside I.
Inside?
Yeah, put him right there, and then put one over here too.
Okay.
All right. Four in the A gap. What's the way
we're saying it's with a
He's
with
showing it's a safety. It's not another backer.
That's a lot clearer.
Yeah.
Because what we'd see a lot of times is we'd see Mike Sam or Mike Will in here, and we'd have the free safety hanging out like he was going to try and come down and play man.
Yeah.
But obviously you have this threat. The key was these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody over the top of the center. You know
Yep.
something's up.
Yep.
Um,
Go back to that, because Carney's notes that he faxed me last night was, as a fullback in the NFL, he needed to know exactly how the center was being played.
mhm.
On his nose, nobody, or shaded.
Right.
And he said the shades, 34 shade, the 25 defense that's in here, is a 3-4 under front. It's what the 49ers run now and stuff. And the 3-4 under front, you say, I know how to keep Singletary with the bear. I can keep him uncovered.
Right.
How do you do that with Patrick Willis? Well, you do it by playing the under front and always playing Mike to the underside. Because you got a guy outside shade of the center, outside shade of the guard.
Mhm.
How do you double either of those guys?
Right.
Okay.
Tough.
So
You
in
got a lot of
this,
potential for
I'm
runs
saying
this
that
year.
you don't know what he's doing yet. He's blitz or bluff.
Right.
So what's one way we can block that?
Well, one way, and this is what we used in Nebraska, is we liked our back. We had a bigger guy. I would see this. Other things triggered me into it as well. I'd want to get myself in the gun if I was throwing the ball. We'd make a bird call, which the back will now step up in the A gap here, offset.
I thought we were the only people that did that.
Now, all that does is whichever side we had. So if we had 3 jet going here, move this guy over here. If we had 3 jet, now we're keying this way. So our slide is over here. The man side is over here. The back now takes responsibility for the A gap.
Okay.
So here, whoever declares himself in the A gap, a lot of times you see these guys twist.
Right.
So let's say it's the free safety. Now your back steps up, takes that.
I am still blocking that A gap. I don't chase the twister.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
It turns into gap responsibility.
Exactly. Okay.
We called it the bird because it was giving the defense the middle finger. We
Yeah.
can pick up everything with this. Now the downside is we're obviously losing our back right here, but we're still getting our tight end out.
Okay.
And so he's turning here, he's turning here, he's turning, blocking this end, he's here, manned up, and we have it protected.
You have it all. Okay. Now I've asked you that same question, and I want to scat the back out of the shotgun.
With
So,
this?
Yep. Get the back.
Okay,
Put
are we
him
saying
back
he's
here.
out?
No, we'll just move him, put him back here again, and or if you want it, put him here and we'll do jet protection the other
Oh,
way.
okay, I get it. I see what
Okay.
you're saying.
Now I need to use my tight end.
Okay. Do they call this T or
T
J?
protection.
So T.
T protection.
I see this here. Will they always get marked in the gun?
Yep.
Okay. So I move myself in the gun. I declare, T protection, whatever it is, communicate it to here, communicate it to the front. He steps off the ball. This guy steps on. He motions down A gap, similar to what we're talking about.
That's one of the key parts of the question. A gap strong, and if you're in doubt, right on the butt of the guard.
Right.
Okay.
And similar takes place. I mean, these guys are manned up here. The center and this tight end are going to sort this out. Whoever crosses, whoever declares, they are maintaining gap integrity, though.
Because of this, who has A gap right?
It depends. I mean, if they're sliding this way, I don't know whether they would make like a T right call, which would turn the center back here. I mean, he's the guy that really needs to know which way to go.
That's exactly what they do.
Okay.
You're the only guy that's ever said it that way. Which, if it's 2 jet or 3 jet, first, and I guess the way to preface this answer would be,